From the high banks of Monza combined, which was 10 kilometres with not many corners, we come to the Bend GT at Shell V-Power Motorsports Park. 7.64 kilometres and 35 turns. This is going to be a very interesting race of Spec-5 World Tour. It's crunch time in the season at round 12 of 15, live here on HJBC. David Haynes with Reese Gardner and Michael Derby. Reese, this is a monster of a circuit. What can you tell us?
I can tell you I wasn't anticipating they'd be racing at the GT circuit. Usually when series come here, they use the international layout, which chops off that whole twisty back section. But the Spec-5 World Tour has decided that they're going to go for the longest layout of the Bend, the longest circuit in Australia, the second longest permanent circuit in the entire world. The only one longer is the Nürburgring Nordschleife. This is a really complicated track with, as I said, a back section that, you know, really tests your ability, your patience as well. It's really tough to get right, and I think we're going to be seeing a few drivers really rise to the occasion at this very difficult track.
So kind of looking at it, I'll point out that the letter E in the Bend there includes the GT layout to write the letter. So is this a case of Shanghai? The characters come before the track layout? Not sure about that one, but we're about to head into qualifying. Sets the grid for our 45-minute race with one pit stop going to be required, as we found out at Monza a week ago. At these big tracks for 45-minute races, it makes the pit window only a few laps wide.
Yeah, it does. Really short pit window. Yeah, I would say that there's only about 3, maybe 4 laps in the middle of the race where the drivers are going to be getting on their pit stops. And keeping an eye on that track logo, I actually realized that the layout that is used to make the letter E in the word Bend is in fact not the current layout. It's actually the original proposal for the layout. I'll have to get you a few maps after this to point that out.
And we'll send all of our complaints directly to Sam and Yasser Shahin. Qualifying underway, 15 minutes, but again, this is an over 3-minute lap. Track map in the bottom right-hand corner there. You're going to need to use both hands, both toes, and then loop back around again to count 35 turns. The ones that you and I know best is probably that turn 1, 2, 3 sequence. Sweeping through turn 5. Turn 6 is a big braking zone and overtaking opportunity here.
Yeah, it's one that tightens on the way in as well. It's got quite a wide entry, and so the brake markers actually betray your trust a little bit. You have to brake later than you think. Through this never-ending sequence of rights, you would continue turning right there to go to the international layout, but this is where the GT circuit splits off, and it starts off nice and flowing at first, but you're going to be seeing those S-bends come up very quickly for Brandon Hawke, and there's a lot of elevation change in this back section as well, which really makes it a driver's circuit.
The curbs are way higher on this part of the GT circuit as well than they are the other part of the track, which was definitely built with the V8 supercars in mind. This bit built more with GT3s, LMP3, LMP2 in mind, did host the Asian Le Mans series, and hopefully that or the World Endurance Championship come back again sometime.
Yes, I hope so too. There's actually been quite a few discussions in my streams recently and in my Discord about whether WEC, if they were to race in Australia, would race at the Bend, and I think the Bend is probably the most likely candidate, having already had that sports car pedigree, as you say. It's also one of only 3 FIA Grade 2 certified circuits in Australia, the other 2 being Sydney Motorsport Park, formerly Eastern Creek, and the Surfers Paradise Street Circuit.
Now, see, I've been spreading that rumour that World Endurance Championship is coming here ever since Yasser Shahin won Le Mans in LMGT3. So I'm starting and spreading rumours, or as the kids call it these days, manifesting. So we'll see. This is still the outlap for Brandon Hawken. We've got almost everyone bar David Starb and Kyle Genske out there on track in this qualifying session, working their way around the lengthy outlap. And then eventually they'll get going. Fast final corner, really long front straight here.
Yeah, it's quite sharp is the final corner here at the bend, but you can carry a lot of speed through it, and it's difficult to pick your line from my experience. Brandon Hawken's going to show us it. There's a big sausage curb on the inside of the hairpin leading up to it, and then at the 50 marker, start of the curb, you turn in, another big sausage curb, and then there's a lot of curb that you can use on the exit. Pit entry right there can cause a lot of drama. You have to start slowing down effectively on the racing line. That's going to be something to talk about when we get into the race.
Brandon Hawken begins this lap that is going to end in about 3.5 minutes time, 35 corners later. Hawken tips into turn 1, switch of direction into turn 2 before the hairpin at turn 3. Underneath the power lines, carrying 275,000 volts from the solar farm just up the road down towards some of the other towns in the region. Turn 4 is a tiny kink to the right. Turn 5 is a flat-out sweeper there. Turn 6 has a bit of a downhill braking zone.
Braking between the 150 markers as Hawken suffers a lot of oversteer there, and he's going to abandon that lap and go back to the pits. I don't know if that's the right decision, honestly. It's such a long lap here that you would need... I think Hawken's only going to get like 2 laps in.
Lap times here are actually very similar to what they were at Monza last week. Now, Monza combined is 10 kilometers long. This is 7.5. Shows you how quick and high the average speeds are around that Monza combined on the oval. But it's similar rules for qualifying. You are not going to get all 4 flying laps in. It also means that the strategy is going to be similar insofar as there's probably only 3 laps in the middle of the race that constitute the pit window. Donnie Moffat is still on a lap. He's around the far side here where we really wiggle in a couple of extra turn numbers.
Flitting from apex to apex very nicely is car number 720. That turn he's just gone through there I found very hard to get right at the best of times. Cresting on the entry, can't quite see where you're turning in, and hoping that you get the momentum on the way out. Going past the grid and pit lane for one of the alternative layouts here, the East layout. Yes, the East circuit. This particular turn here, very fun to go through in a Ferrari challenge car, but it's a bit misleading through this section how much speed you can actually carry. Have a look on the exit of this corner here. We've seen it a couple of times already. The track actually widens on the exit. There's some extra asphalt there to gather you up, and the drivers don't use the full width of the track at that point because well, really, there's no reason for them to.
Yeah, it's a very odd little bit. You notice it on the normal international circuit as well. There's just a little bulb there of extra pavement, and it belongs to this layout. Moffat exits what's turn 33, heading towards turn 34, pitching just a little bit uphill. This one's very tight. Can be an overtaking opportunity on multiple of the configurations that use it. And then the final corner, tough to spot exactly where you are. Go-kart track on the outside of the racetrack there. Moffat gentle with the track limits. And we are looking to see the first lap times of this session come in. Donnie Moffat a 3:27.1, but Eugenio Polici a 3:26.6. Jared Collins into third, Sean Hayes into fourth.
It's looking to me like we're going to see lap times be sort of mid to low 3:26s here. Brandon Hawken was the driver who topped practice on a 3:26.0. So we'll see if they can get close to those lap times here. but I think slipstream might play a part in lap time when there's other cars on track. It's an incredibly long front straight they've got here.
Yeah, and some other parts of the track are relatively high speed as well, I'd say. Down towards turn 6, out of turn 6. It gets a little bit twistier after that point. 13 drivers have a qualifying time. It looks like, yeah, Brandon Hawkins was oddly not counted because of the issues he encountered. Rui Coimbra, I think, did a lap that didn't count. Michael Coates, I think, had a lap that didn't count. Lee Martin, we're about to see if this lap time is going to count, heading down the front straight.
And it does. Up to 13th place for Lee Martin. I was going to say when we were riding on board with Brandon Hawkins initially, can you imagine getting an off track in Sector 1 on the start of your first lap, knowing that you'll have to go all the way around again to have another go at it? Reminds me of the days when, well, I mean, I guess you still experience it in a qualifying session on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. One single mistake can be a waste of whole minutes of your time.
Just one mistake is all it will take. Mike Oswalt over the crest of the right-hander there. Trying to stay within track limits. Mark Cheng also may have gone off and had his lap not count. I like this part. You've got the two left-handers there. One sort of sets up the other. There's a bit of a bowl effect there. It would have been so easy, I think, for this racetrack to be incredibly flat and characterless. As it is, it still feels a little devoid of much going on for about half of it.
Yeah, it's got that real country South Australia, big paddocks feeling to it as Mike Oswalt brings it across the line.
Barrels in the bank vault.
Indeed. Looks like that's going to be the start of another lap there for Mr. Hewitt. Donnie Moffat has managed to put himself into P2 in the session, about half a second behind Polici. Didn't quite get to the apex. I've been following Brandon Hawkins, and he's just gone off track again on another one of his laps. So things are starting to get a little intense for our championship leader, whether or not he'll actually get a time on the grid. And if he does, whether he'll be happy for it. Donnie Moffat does not improve.
Yeah, so you'd be lucky to get 3 flying laps in, and that sounds like 2 are gone for the championship leader, Brandon Hawkins. He'll get around to start another one, and it'll be touch and go if he has enough time. Not a whole lot of improvement happening this next time around. So Eugenio Polici still provisional pole, 326.6. Last lap didn't count. So he'll have one more. He's got time left. Once we're under 3:27 on that clock, drivers crossing the line and beginning new laps won't have time to finish them. So Hawkins is so touch and go with that. He's in the final sector, and if he's not crossing the line now...
Which he has.
Wow.
This is going to be tight. This is going to be really tight.
Gee, I think where the timing line is, all the way back there, you see it on the track map. I think this one could do it. It's possible. Eugenio Polici's put in a purple first sector, so he might have taken lap 2 to cool those tyres off. He'll go try to attack again. Mostly cloudy today. That cloud is coming and going. If you can get your lap time in when the clouds are over the track, it actually will help you. It'll help your tyre temperatures. Hawkins, the number 98, yet to cross the timing of the first sector until now. And he's a 10th down on Polici. But he just needs a lap. If you were within a second of Polici, you'd still be on the second row of the grid.
Yeah, such as the lap time gap around such a long circuit. But Brandon Hawkins has always been strong in the twisties, which he's coming up to now. his typical style of backing the car into the corners and letting the rear end hang loose a little bit is going to be on full display here. Let's ride on board with him through the back section of the lap, through this flat out right-hander, and then tapping the brakes, just blending it into this S-bend, tiny bit of uphill on the exit through a banked corner, then the fast chicane, the S-bends, using all of the curb and then some. He is drifting that car through this section.
Sure is. Using that elevation, different types of curbs, some that you can hit, some that you can't. Now, hairpin at the far side here. This car is so skatey, but you've been saying all season long that's kind of how Hawkins seems to drive.
Yeah, he's a little bit more on the ragged edge than the other drivers from what I've seen, and it's really benefited him. He's been able to just set incredible times at the front of the field and drive away from people most of the time, but that's a little bit too much oversteer for him through the left-handers. He might have lost out by a tenth or so there. He's drifting again, but this time the track has the space to gather it up. First time I've seen anyone use that piece of tarmac on the exit of the left.
Well, he needs to race, not just to set a competitive time, but to get to the checkered flag in time. Eugenio Polici's lap time has backed off, so the benchmark remains at a 326.6. Jared Collins crosses the line, but does not improve. Brandon Hawken with just a couple of corners left. He's one of only 3 drivers without a qualifying time. 22 drivers have set times. 23 drivers have set times. So for Hawken, he'd really like this to count only 10 seconds left to get through the final corner and to the start-finish line for the lap time to count. It'll be a pretty good one if it does. There's the line there. I think we're home for Hawken.
We are.
And we go to third, just with time to spare.
Apparently it's the second timing line there that counted in qualifying. That was just scraping things in for the championship leader.
Yeah, boy. Oh, boy. I think Tom Athon also managing to squeak a time in right at the end of qualifying. Head to the grid. Eugenio Polici first, Donnie Moffat second. Absolute Motorsports have locked out the front row, and they're doing it for Pellino. Brandon Hawken squeaking through into third place there, dislodging Jared Collins from fourth. Odyssey Adams up there in fifth, with Mike Oswald in sixth, Michael Coates in seventh. Ray Lombardi back with us after last racing at Interlagos, I think, in eighth. Jack Stodola in ninth. He has been the highest scoring open class driver for the last 2 races. Now he's on open class pole here at the Bend. Back part of this season is coming together for Jack Stodola. He's ninth on the grid. Sean Hayes in 10th.
Mitchell Peak running a 328.9 to start 11th alongside Tom Athon. Good qualifying performance from Athon there, with Rui Coimbra and Peter Rosalkas sharing row number 7. Mark Kruger and Travis Ewart, the first all-open class row of the field, with Coimbra and Stalker behind. Gerard Brady and Mark Cheng round out your top 20. Just a few more cars left.
That's right, Lee Martin in 21st, Paul Murgatroyd in 22nd, Carl Genske in 23rd, and Brian Jabelski in 24th. David Starb, I think, didn't really get out on track in qualifying, or at least in time to have a chance to set a lap, whereas a few other drivers got out there, had laps invalidated, and then had to wait till late on to set one. Starb, I don't think, ever had a chance or gave himself a chance. So we didn't make enough mention of it at Monza, but Polici and Moffat have got new liveries on that they did up specifically for Monza, and it's got Eugenio's dog on the front.
Yes, the dog that Eugenio walks every day, or most days, through the park in which Autodromo Nazionale Monza is situated. A very good boy indeed. Let's see if they'll be able to honour Polino with a 1-2 finish. It's going to be a tough job with Brandon Hawken starting just behind and wanting to extend his championship lead. Also worth pointing out, Jason Stalker is going to be starting from the pit lane. He's already ready to go once everyone takes the green flag.
I've seen a picture on the internet of a dog doing some mechanical work, and they diagnosed it as having a rough idle.
Very nice. Not long until the green flag. We should probably take a look at the championship standings and such.
Yeah, Brandon Hawken leads that and has just come through with the qualifying to be in third. Joshua Soto not here. Michael Coates, Donnie Moffat, Eugenio Pollicci, Odyssey Adams, Rui Coimbra, Mike Oswald, Kyle Genske, and Geordie Fike is our top 10.
In the open class, Travis Hewitt leads the way from Jack Stadola with Lee Martin in third. Paul Murgatroyd and Jason Stalker rounding out your top 5. Kruger, Tuck, Cheng, Pandicio, and Paolo Coimbra round out your top 10 there. Time for Mr. Clean.
Brian Tabalski and Lee Martin are tied ahead of Brandon Hawken, Michael Coates, Jack Stadola, Mike Oswald, Geordie Fike, Michael Tuck, Mark Kruger, and Joshua Soto. Stadola in open class has been the highest scoring driver the last 2 races in a row. Now he starts from open class pole, 9th place in this pack. The pace car comes in. The drivers line up 2 rows on the long start finish line at Shell V-Power Motorsports Park. Green flag waves, 45 minutes begin, and there is a long run down towards turn number 1. 3 lanes bump drafting towards turn 1 to start this race. And a little bit of contact. Kruger gets pinballed.
Oh, but fortunately, it seems no pile-up results from it. Kruger got a great run down the start-finish straight, picking up slipstream and slotting his car in wherever it would go. He made up quite a few positions. He's already up 7 places by the time they exit the first few turns. Gerard Brady also with a great start, up 9 spots from where he started.
I might check that one if he was in line when the green flag waved. Now we get super close. That's well wide out there from Coates, it looks like. Yes, alongside Ray Lombardi and Mark Kruger.
Excellent momentum out of the hairpin there. Outside line working very well for Coates, and he's trying to latch on to the back of the top 6 pack at least as they enter the GT circuit section. It's going to be very hard to pass through this particular part of the track, but evidently no one is telling Travis Hewitt, getting up the inside of Peter Rousakis there. Rui Coimbra will look to take advantage, dragging Paul Murgatroyd and Kyle Genske along with him. Now, this is where I think we're going to be seeing a lot of single file and big pace differences between the drivers.
This is almost the S's flip-flop section here. Pollicci and Moffat still leading. Brandon Hawken right behind them. Jared Collins right there. A few positions trading. That's Mark Kruger dropping down. He's in the wall in the background there. He's been off.
Started 15th, did Mark Kruger, and he was doing all right, but it looks like he hit this curb. Actually, rear end got loose off the curb before it. And, well, he just manages to keep it out of the wall. Good amount of runoff area to work with there. But he is back in 23rd, just in time to meet Jason Stalker, who again started from pit lane.
Spin off too far to the east, you'll end up in Horsham and in Victoria. The way that happens, David Starb didn't take the race start. Jason Stalker did from the pit lane. And then the rest of us run back onto the international circuit. Rousakis up here as, losing places. Paul Murgatroyd around the outside now spinning.
Just enough space for him to gather it up without involving anybody else. Stalker a little bit wide there, using even more of the track than we would expect Fortunately, though we have had a few incidents on this lap, it appears that no one has gotten significant damage, if any, from any of these incidents. So all up, I think it was still a reasonably clean first lap, all things considered.
Just the last corner to go. Eugenio Pollicci still leading it. Donnie Moffat a couple car lengths back behind him now. Brandon Hawken pressuring him for that second place. It's gone okay for Jared Collins as well. You can see Mike Oswald getting pushed by Michael Coates, and Ray Lombardi is part of our leading group of 8 as we start lap 2. Jared Brady leading the next group of drivers in 9th. Jack Stadola still leads open class, but he's only 2 cars ahead of Paulo Coimbra and then Travis Hewitt. Here is Stadola.
That's a lot of curb there at turn 1, but he gathers it up very nicely. And will try to make his way back to his starting position. I took another look at Gerard Brady's start, and yeah, he did carry a little bit extra speed than those around him, but it doesn't look like he made too many passes before the start-finish line. He only really gained a maximum of 2 positions. Might still be investigated by the stewards, but he made up the majority of his places through turns 1, 2, and 3.
So this is sort of the packs that we've got going on. Top 7, top 8, then battling back here, which includes the open class podium. Roussorkis getting ahead of Paulo Coimbra. Paulo Coimbra getting back ahead of him. We remain side by side.
Move completed on the exit there over the Ripple Sawtooth curbs. Now we're going to be seeing a bit more retro style of curb emerge at the apexes here. Coimbra's got some good pace at the moment. 2 spots gained so far. The question is, can he keep the pace up through this section and latch on to the back of Travis Hewitt, try and make a run at the top 10? It was a very good performance from the Not a Team guys last round at Monza. They took advantage of the slipstream better than just about anybody else. But we'll see how they go at a much twistier circuit, which is more reliant on mechanical grip.
Sean Hayes briefly alongside Tom Athon. Now Mitchell Peake going past Jack Stadola. Started 9th on the grid, now dropping back into 13th. And then you've got a string of open class drivers there. Stadola, Hewitt, Coimbra, Roussorkis, all battling for the most points in open class at the moment.
Murgatroyd's just retired from the event. Looks like he gathered some more damage somewhere, and was taking a little bit too much curb. The car just wasn't agreeing with him, so he pulled over and escaped back to the garage. So we'll say goodbye to Paul Murgatroyd for now, as the move for Mitchell Peake on Tom Athon. That looked a little bit of an optimistic dive, and it seems that Athon saw it coming from a mile back.
Brady's lost a little bit of time in the last sector or 2. He's come back towards this group. Sean Hayes has closed him up big time. I think Brady's lost sort of 1.5 seconds. Now he goes a bit wide into the penultimate corner, which on this configuration is turn 34. And then at turn 35, Sean Hayes is all over his rear bumper just as we get to the long front straight where the slipstream is really powerful.
Slipstream's always powerful in MX-5s, and it looks like it's enough for a move for second place. Brandon Hawkins gotten up the inside of Donnie Moffat at turn 1, all over the curb. But one of the great things about these opening turns at the bend is you can very easily defend the position. A bit later on the brakes and backing it into turn 3 a little bit, and Donnie Moffat defends the position. Pollicci still in front by about 0.7 of a second as things stand. I think it's going to be very difficult for Brandon Hawken to make a run for the lead here, at least in this first stint. He might have to wait for the pit cycle to make any huge gains.
The 2 close packs up the front of this race. These leaders here with Pollicci, Moffat, Hawken, Collins, and then Adams, Coates, and Mike Oswald. Ray Lombardi's just dropping off a little bit, trying to stay close. Sean Hayes has now gotten ahead of Gerard Brady. So a lightning opening lap for Brady. And now he has been pursued and caught by this group again. Sean Hayes getting ahead of him. Tom Athon making up some spots in this race as well. Mitchell Peake we saw cutting some moves. Carl Genske also, was up. Now he's sideways.
Good avoiding action from the Not A Team guys and Rosakis. And just off the racing line, careful on the rejoin, winds on the lock and stays off the racing line. So Carl Genske now falls to dead last as Paul Murgatroyd's already retired and David Staub didn't even take the start. It looks like Staub was only present for practice. So it's not ideal for Genske. Completely lost touch with this pack. And Sean Hayes, the sole Australian on track, is going to have a nice gap here, which may extend if Mitchell Peake gets past Gerard Brady here, and Tom Athon will try and do the same thing. A little bit of contact on the way into the hairpin. Shuffled wide for Mr. Brady, but he gets back ahead of Athon.
Yeah, Athon then rode the curb in the next part. Jack Stadola's alongside him. Stadola just being very, very wary, but it means for the open class lead, Travis Hewitt briefly alongside him. So the teal and the silver and yellow cars battling for that open class lead right now. Stadola gets another good run at Athon, who then runs deep into the next corner, out wide, comes back to a late apex for a little bit of momentum.
Looks like Brandon Hawken has succeeded in getting past Donnie Moffat. He made the move coming into the hairpin where we saw that contact between Athon and Brady. It was a very nice dive, actually, and he's managed to secure it for the moment. Starting to latch onto the back of Pollicci. We're going to have a look at how he made the move. And it's this part of the circuit, I think, really facilitates passes in these slower cars. It was just a little dip into the grass, a little bit wide on the exit for Donnie Moffat, and Brandon Hawkins says, "Thank you very much, mate. I will see that space to the inside and take it."
Yeah, not too dissimilar to then what happened between Athon and others through that part. You can battle side by side and then try to strike back. Another lap completed. That means 3 done, 9 to go. So I think this will be a 12-lap race at the moment. And you probably have a 3-lap pit window somewhere in the middle. Haven't gotten there quite yet. Probably still 2 laps away from it, to be honest with you. Pollicci racking up the laps led. Brandon Hawken getting 1 position closer to him. Donnie Moffat, though, now sandwiching the championship leader with his teammate. Jack Collins right with them in 4th.
And a bit of a top 4 breakaway forming now as Coates, Adams and Oswalt were unable to keep up with them. Hawken is just still sliding that rear end through the hairpin. It looks like Michael Coates doing the same thing. And this is a circuit where you need rotation. You need a front end that responds immediately, and a rear end that you can play around with a little. But it's a tough balance to strike, especially when you come up to this section.
Yes, certainly not many reference markers to help you line up going into these different corners. So when you can be precise, you get momentum through the change of direction, positioning your car better. That's where the difference is made on this long GT circuit configuration of Shell v Power Motorsports Park at the Bend. Launching over that curb, there they go. I reckon it's a profitable or a non-profitable time to be the almost 50% owners of Shell in Australia.
Yes, I think so. One of the greatest achievements, I think, in Australian motorsport as of recent, getting this circuit complete and FIA Grade 2 certified. It's an incredible facility, and I think it's very quickly made a name for itself as one of the premier venues in the country.
They keep bringing events here of all sorts. The Australian Rally Championship, Asian Le Mans Series briefly, Supercars Endurance Racing, many others. GT World Challenge Australia is going to be here at some point this year, I think. I haven't double checked that calendar. They've certainly been here before.
Still waiting for that elusive WEC event as Tom Athon is off. Going for a bit of lawn mowing. How did this happen? Oh, maybe caught out by the car ahead, slowing down a bit more than he realized, and the rear end was gone for Tom Athon. And now the number 77 is just trying to keep it on the straight and narrow and keep it on the track. Good recovery there, but he has lost quite a bit of time. Back down to 17th for Tom Athon.
The MotoGP will be coming here if you believe the rumours that Adelaide Street Circuit is a bait and switch.
I hope that's the case.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that too. I'm like, MotoGP here would go okay. MotoGP down the streets of Adelaide, I'm really not sure about. So, just around about the opening of the pit window, but maybe just fractionally one lap on the early side. Right here, right now, Fatboy Slim.
Still a bit too early in my day to be immediately coming up with other references of that ilk.
I've got
I feel your vibe.
I think Lamborghini World Finals could come here. Why go to Misano in November when you could come to the Bend? Mostly
Money and flight times, I think, is the main limiting factor there. It is a shame sometimes being so far away from everything else.
So Polici's still got this race lead. That's about a car length from Brandon Hawken, about a car length from Donnie Moffat. Jared Collins has been right with them the whole race. Michael Coates just on the whiff of the slipstream. If he has a good run through this long part of the GT circuit, that'll help him get closer. But they have been, that top four at least, kind of pulling away from the rest. Adams and Oswald together have put about 2 seconds into Ray Lombardi last lap, so his last lap wasn't amazing. Mitchell Peake leads the next group ahead of Hayes and Brady. Jack Stadola still leads open class, but he's got only half a second to Travis Hewitt. The two of them have left Peter Resorkis, Paulo Coimbra and Jason Stalker behind.
Yes, indeed. Big gaps now forming, and the drivers in the midfield will be probably thinking about their stops now. I think we have entered the pit window. We may very well see first couple of drivers come into the pits at the end of this lap.
If you're going to take 2 tyres on a 35-turn layout, which ones would you take?
That's a very good question, one that I did not consider, and now that I am considering it, it's proving to be quite a difficult decision to make, because it's all up, I think, a very even split of left turns versus right turns at this circuit. But I feel like most of the significant ones are right-handers, so left tires would probably be where I'd go, the safe bet. But you never know. We might see a few drivers going for right side tires to get a bit more pace in the left-handers. Some of the slowest corners on this circuit are left-handers and ones where you can gain a ton of time.
Penultimate corner for the leaders, of which Michael Coates is now one. He's had a very good lap as our top 5 compresses, navigates the final corner. Pit entry to the left is a big braking zone if you take it. Our leaders won't. Maybe down the train someone else will consider it. Good run for Brandon Hawken, 1/10 away from the lead of the race, right in behind Eugenio Polici, and I think pushing him along.
Oh, that opens up the opportunity for Donnie Moffat, though. He'll get a little bit closer. Yeah, I think from Hawken's perspective, it's, oh dear, Polici wide out of turn 3. That might be Brandon Hawken duly making his way through to the lead, but for the most part, he seems to have been pretty comfortable behind Pollicci, hasn't he? And he's not actually going to go for the move here. Or is he? That's very late on the brakes. Round the outside of turn 6, sliding it across the slight banking in that corner, and he's going to take the lead.
Pollicci rolled out of the throttle. Donnie Moffat nearly ran up the back of him. Jared Collins still sits in 4th with Coates in 5th as 1 second covers our top 5. Taking the turn out into the GT circuit, Brandon Hawken leads the race, the teammates just behind him.
There was only one driver to go to the pits on this lap. It was Brian Jabelski, and he took left side tires. So, and this is something else that we need to think about, isn't it? The pit lane speed. It's incredibly slow at the bend as, oh, that's going to get a bit interesting here for Sean Hayes. 3 wide as the 73 of Gerard Brady slips through. So does Jack Stadola. Mitchell Peake and Sean Hayes with this side-by-side battle really bringing us some action here in the midfield. Travis Hewitt taking advantage as well. Hayes was at the front of this pack not 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, it's all changed. Mitchell Peake then gets past Stadola again, so Travis Hewitt makes a move, and the 2 open class leaders are right back together again. There's that curb that they all love to hit, and you've got to place your car correctly into the next sequence of corners, changing of direction, thinking about, is this the pit stop lap? And Brady runs off the road. Peake follows him. They're all rallying.
Oh, dearie me. Yeah, looks like potentially the tyres are getting overwhelmed. Mitchell Peake trying his best to desperately hold on to that position. It was very late on the brakes, but he managed to get the move done. And now Sean Hayes is trying to work his way back forward too. Not quite dispatching Travis Hewitt yet. Hewitt's got the inside for these never-ending right-handers, but that's a little bit squirrely on the way through the corner. Nonetheless, he manages to take the position.
We're beginning to kick off a little bit, and now down the inside of Sean Hayes comes Rui Coimbra.
Space to the inside, but then lots of space to the outside that Sean Hayes can take advantage of, which will give him the inside for this uphill right-hander. That's a lot of the sausage curb there. You've got to be so careful when you turn in for that right-hander. The amount of times I've hit that sausage curb, I've lost count. But Hayes will maintain the spot for the time being. Our leaders coming past pit entry, and it looks like Pollicci and Moffat are going to go for it.
Watch that speed, boys, on the pit entry. All good for Pollicci and Moffat as they pit together. Trying to pull off a little bit of strategy here, leaving Brandon Hawken out to dry. Is he going to overcut them, though? Collins and Coates are going to have to work really hard to stay with Brandon Hawken, and it's a long run down this lane, past the little museum, past the hotel lobby, to find your pit crew.
Only 40 kilometers per hour, the pit speed limit here at the bend, which is following the convention of most Australian circuits. Left side tyres for just about everybody coming into pit lane. Pollicci and Moffat are away, and looks like pretty nice pit stops from the both of them. 15.5 seconds for Pollicci, 16 seconds for Moffat. Ray Lombardi, 16 seconds in the stop as well. They're joined in the pits by Hayes, Peake, Athon, Coimbra, Stalker, Mark Cheng as well. That looks like a nice stop again from Mitchell Peake. But an absolute huge cloud of smoke as they try desperately to get the cars rolling again. It's going to be side-by-side on pit exit between Stalker and Athon, and it looks like Stalker will take point into the first corner.
Mind the pit exit there, fellas. My thoughts, exactly. It looks like Jason Stalker wins that duel versus Tom Athon. So Eugenia Stalker's got a black flag. No. Womp womp.
Oh, yep. Oh, that's Sean Hayes. Hayes with a problem out of pit lane. He is very slow on the runoff. He's coming to a stop. I think he might be retiring. What on earth happened there? Just no brakes into turn 3?
Yeah, technical issue. Looks possible. like you might have broken one of the pedals. So it seems like Jason Stalker's been given the black flag for an unsafe pit exit. Might have been wheels over the line as he was side by side with Tom Athon. I mean, Stalker's going to have to make a drive through, which is very ouchy here for the reasons you were just describing.
Yeah, slow pit lane speed limit and a very long pit lane. Combine those together and you've got a situation pretty similar to that of Road America, I think, if not worse, or the endurance layout of Spa. Super long pit lanes result in a lot of time loss if you have to come through again. So that's not ideal for Stalker. Actually, no, not it wasn't Stalker, was it?
No, it was Stalker. And because Stalker. Of the way that this pit lane is, the entrance and the exit don't cut you any extra distance either, so the delta is pretty severe for all of that. The open class leaders are banging doors. Stodola side by side with Travis Hewitt could be the in-lap for these drivers. Hewitt has gotten ahead. He leads open class. Brady's slow in front of them, though. They've got to try to pick a way through this. It presents an opportunity for Stodola, who gets back down the inside. He's alongside Hewitt once more for the double left-handers.
Bit of drama. It is slightly banked there in that little bowl at the bottom of the hill, so Travis Hewitt gets the run out of the corner. But Gerard Brady, a little bit inconsistent in that sector, and that's really closed up this pack. Now, Stodola has Coimbra up his inside, and Travis Hewitt needs to try and find a way past Gerard Brady, who had a very poor run through turn 34. None of these drivers have pitted yet. Are any of them going to go for it? Looks like we are going to see Travis Hewitt come in. Same for Coimbra and Stodola. And I think that makes sense. Bit of traffic, so to speak. They would have been losing a lot of time behind Gerard Brady, so might as well get the pit stop done now and try and get some clear air.
Slow entry for Stodola, checked up by Rui Coimbra, so it spaces out the open class leaders just a tiny bit. Travis Hewitt, right-hand side, is going up on that car.
Ooh.
All four?
Yeah, you never know. All four tyres might be a pretty good shout here. Yeah, it is going to be all four for Travis Hewitt. Well, whether or not that's a good decision remains to be seen. Of course, it's going to take quite a bit longer on the pit stop there for Hewitt. 23.5 seconds, where most pit stops we've seen running about 15, 16 seconds. Looking down through the pit stop times, Mark Cheng has
a black flag, speeding on the exit. Stodola was behind coming into the lane. He led coming out, but he sped coming out.
Yeah, just disengaging the pit limiter a tiny bit too early. Oh, yeah. Well, we know what he thinks about that. Jack Stodola, it looks like, disengaged the pit speed limiter at the white line on pit exit, but it is the sort of orange line behind it that is where the pit speed limit actually ends.
Absolutely crushing for Jack Stodola. He had the open class win almost in the bag there, it looked like. And then a little mistake on pit lane. It's costed him, tilted him, and I think he's out of this race. He is. His point scoring winning streak ends as Michael Coates pushing hard to stay with Jared Collins, pushing hard to stay with Brandon Hawkin. This is the three leaders who haven't pitted yet. They've got to compare themselves to Eugenio Pollicci, 47 seconds back, who has made his stop a lap and a half ago.
Looks like a bit more space now between Pollicci and Moffat than there was. They exited pit lane together, but Pollicci seems to have had a much nicer time in the second stint here. Moffat makes his way past Lee Martin. Don't know if there was contact between those two, but Moffat is going to try his best to catch back up to his teammate. And we're still waiting to see what benefit, if any, that slightly earlier pit stop is going to give Pollicci and Moffat. Back to our leaders. And this is their opportunity, I think, to come into pit lane. 17.5 minutes on the clock, 5 laps to go according to my timing. And yeah, you might be able to stretch it out for another lap if you'd saved a bit of fuel, but won't surprise me to see all three of them come in, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Coates with a bit of paddock bashing in turn 34. Really aggressive on the pit entry, and that has closed him up heaps. Mike Oswalt and Odyssey Adams follow in behind. This probably will be the last lap of the pit window for everyone. Just got Peter Resorkis, Gerard Brady, Mark Kruger, Carl Genski, and Lee Martin yet to pit. So the comparison is those drivers that have just come in. Brandon Hawken versus Eugenio Pellicci. He's approaching turn 34 now, just as Brandon Hawken hits the marks in his pit stall, and the left side of the car goes up for him and for Collins, and has back there for Michael Coates as well. Out the final corner comes Eugenio Pellicci. 2 laps of fresh left side tyre undercut. He's at speed. These guys are still at 40 and need to wait for the green cone there. Pellicci at speed on the front straight. It'll be close enough. It's game on.
And it looks like they're going to draw side by side into the braking zone. Pellicci gets ahead just in time for the braking zone for turn 1, and he'll make his way out. Now, Brandon Hawken has the disadvantage of cold tyres on one side of the car. He'll need to get those tyres heated up very quickly. Pellicci, with the undercut, has the benefit of his tyres being up to temperature.
Well, this is just perfect. Eugenio Pellicci and Brandon Hawken together after the pit stops, battling for the lead of the race. Every other driver is in that pit lane, so we've seen a pit stop from everyone. Jason Stalker still carrying a black flag that he needs to clear, but you get a number of laps to serve it. And 3 laps here. Well, it's sort of 15 minutes almost is what it feels like. Pellicci from Hawken, 1 second ahead of Jared Collins. Donnie Moffat back in 4th, Coates in 5th. And after all of this, Travis Hewitt leads the open class. Well, Jason Stalker does, but with a black flag looming. The early stop would have worked so well for Jason Stalker were it not for that penalty on the exit.
Yeah, a real shame. But sometimes that's just how it goes. If you're side by side on pit entry, one of you has to yield. And we saw it on the way out of pits. Athon and Stalker side by side, and there was just enough room for the both of them. But Stalker putting his right side tyres on that pit exit blend line, which is a big no-no.
Collins has closed in on that race lead, by the way, so that could make things interesting in a potential 3-way fight, or a potential 4-way fight. We'll see. Oswalt and Adams the next battle. Stalker and Athon changing positions on track. Again, Stalker still with a black flag to serve. Oh, changing positions off track. Athon with a slowdown.
Yeah, but he's keeping it on the racing line here. He's not allowing Stalker to take advantage of it.
Well, Stalker might have one too, but I don't know because it's covered up by the black flag.
Indeed. Well, they're going to keep their fight going here. Stalker trying to mount some kind of attack on the exit, but it doesn't quite work out for him. Just going back a few seconds to see. Actually looks like there was a bit of contact between Athon and Stalker there, and that's the reason why Athon was off the circuit in the first place.
It can take 2 to tango, and in South Australia they love to dance. Let's have a look.
Yeah, so there was an attempt there, and then Athon a bit wide on the way in, and Stalker decided to flick his way through, not without a little bit of biffo, and then, yeah, the both of them end up getting slowdowns from that confirmed.
Yep. Jim's mowing both sides of the racetrack. Brandon Hawken right behind Eugenio Pellicci. Is he pushing him along? But Jared Collins is still closing in the draft down the long front stretch. Pit lane speed limit is 40 kilometers an hour, but by the time they get to turn 1, it's 195, 196 for these drivers. They're leaving Donnie Moffat behind as Eugenio Pellicci is the fastest car on track that lap. Brandon Hawken's got those slightly newer tyres to use in these final 4 laps to go.
And looking at the track temperature, it's actually not that bad. 28 Celsius on track at the moment, which means the drivers won't have to worry too much about the tyres overheating. if you push too hard, it will certainly be a problem. Now, Collins is right with Eugenio Pellicci and Brandon Hawken. It is officially a three-way fight for the lead. Collins had an absolutely magnificent run through the first sector.
Gamesmanship happening up front here between Pellicci and Hawken as well. It's been to the benefit of Jared Collins. Approaching the part where we had contact between Stalker and Athon a lap ago. They got checked up a little bit here. Then you dive into this right-hander that's sort of nicely banked up against that curb.
Poor Pellicci slightly off rhythm there through the S's section. But nothing for Hawken to do for the moment. It's difficult to get side by side in this part of the racetrack. And even then, it doesn't look like Hawken's too keen to make the pass on Pellicci yet. I think he's just biding his time here. He's going to let Pellicci have it for the majority of the time remaining. But I think on the last lap, he'll start his full attack. Unless Pellicci makes a mistake, in which case Brandon Hawken would very gladly take the lead away.
Change of foot in open class between Resorkis, Kruger, and Cheng. That looks like a three-way fight for second place. You bet it is. So, Travis Hewitt, 5 seconds up the road from this scrap.
Yeah, Hewitt is a long way ahead. But Mark Cheng and Peter Resorkis fighting super hard at the moment here with Mark Kruger, and it looks like it's brought Gerard Brady and Paulo Coimbra into the fight as well. Coimbra and Brady will trade their own spots here at the back of the pack. Oh, contact, and around goes Coimbra. Just taps the wall there on the exit. Is the car still rolling? It is, but you got to be careful on the re-entry there. Somewhat blind on the exit. Seems like there's just enough space for Coimbra to get rolling again.
Just about the only wall it's possible to hit here at the bend in this gigantic paddock of a racetrack. This is the leaders. 3 laps to go. Pellicci leading Hawken, leading Collins, all within half a second of each other.
That's where the slipstream kicks in and where Brandon Hawken will bump draft Eugenio Pellicci, given those, keeping those Monza vibes going for an extra week. Jared Collins just sitting pretty behind them, and he'll be thinking about what's coming next in this battle. The big move, when it comes for Brandon Hawken on Eugenio Pellicci, has every chance of going wrong, and Jared Collins will be right there to take advantage if that ends up being the case.
Open class fanning out. Mark Cheng dropping back slightly. Resorkis getting a little bit ahead of Kruger. Still Travis Hewitt leading that class. Jason Stalker served his penalty and ended up just behind Paulo Coimbra though. So plenty of battles. One of the biggest racetracks you could ever possibly go to. And it's like a bus. 3 come at once.
Indeed, move for Gerard Brady. Gets back up the inside of Mark Cheng at turn 1, and it looks like Cheng let him have it and then some. Now the question is, can he keep the consistency up and catch up to Resorkis and Kruger, who are matching each other pretty well for lap times? In fact, I'm not really seeing any huge gains on lap times anywhere in the field, apart from maybe for 4th and 5th. Johnny Moffat's previous lap, a 3:30.1. A 3:29.2 for Michael Coates, nearly a second gain on the previous lap. So that may start closing up the battle for 4th somewhat. There is still quite a bit of distance between them, but we've seen Michael Coates make some big gains already in this race. There's all the potential in the world for more.
It's going along nicely, flowing through there. Past the East Circuit paddock goes our race leaders. Some track days and stuff happen out there. A lot of cars used to be built in South Australia back in the day. Brandon Hawken behind Eugenio Pollicci, Jared Collins, our top three, still pulling away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, of course, the old Holden plant in Elizabeth, I believe, just outside of Adelaide, was where the Holden Commodore was built for for much of the last half a century, actually.
Mitsubishi factory in Tonsley, South Australia. Originally Chrysler Australia and then Mitsubishi Motors Australia.
Home of the Mitsubishi Magna and Mitsubishi 380, which I believe were initially based on the Mitsubishi Galant.
Moment there for Jared Collins. Gets checked up in turn 34. Turn 35 is the final corner on the lap. This is that big draft down the front straight. He'll get a good run up at Pollicci and Hawken. 6 minutes on the clock. Lap times are 3 minutes 28, 3 minutes 29. There's 2 to go, and Hawken is going for the race lead almost as much as I think Pollicci is telling him to go for the race lead.
Yes, Pollicci, I think, maybe forced Brandon Hawken's hand there. But now Pollicci is going to be the one with the advantage, I think. Hawken will be punching the hole in the air for the other two. And Pollicci will likely do the exact same thing that Hawken just did to him.
Michael Coates, fastest car on track last lap, has caught Donnie Moffat. Coates is absolutely on fire as the top three begin to play games with each other. Pollicci showing the nose to Brandon Hawken into turn 6. So as they've been feeling out the waters up here, Michael Coates has been absolutely flat-footed.
Yeah, so that's a crazy lap time from Michael Coates. 3 minutes 28. That's getting onto qualifying pace. Our leaders are still running mid 329s. So I don't know what Michael Coates has put into the fuel tank of his MX-5, but apparently it's working very well for him.
He's right on the back of Nitro.
Hey, that 98 octane, mate.
Yeah, the good stuff. E85 is probably the good stuff at the moment, to be honest with you. But yeah, Michael Coates is going along really, really well and has the opportunity to pick up a spot late in this race. That'll light a fire for him. Puts a little bit of pressure on Donnie Moffat, who's been mostly alone for the last few laps since the pit stop cycle, and he pitted early in that as well, along with his teammate Eugenio Pollicci, who sits in second. Travis Hewitt's lead at open class, still holding on 5 seconds. Vasorkis and Kruger going back at each other again. Mark Cheng's not going to run out of fuel, is he, with only a 12-second stop?
Yeah, I was going to point that out, actually. In the pit cycle, I don't think I ended up actually finishing the point in the end. Yeah, Mark Cheng with an abnormally quick stop. And, you know, it'd be all well and good having a stop like that on a shorter track, kind that we more conventionally race at in this league. But at a circuit like this, you don't want to try and push the limit on how much fuel you take on pit lane, because it can very rapidly spiral into disaster. Hopefully, Mark Cheng has the fuel he needs to make it to the checkered.
I get the feeling like I wouldn't be surprised to see him pit in this time by. Not too far away from the completion of this lap as well. You can't pit in that paddock, unfortunately.
No. Far away from any refueling points. Under 3 minutes to go, and the leaders are going to come up to the white flag here.
Moffat's got to slow down in 4th place, so that's an advantage to Michael Coates. It's probably happened coming out of turn 32, and he's going to get out of the way. But crossing the start-finish line, our leaders, Brandon Hawken is going to weave the snake. Eugenio Pollicci, 0.4 of a second behind. Jared Collins just behind that. It'll close up towards turn 1, but I think Hawken's built enough margin coming into this final lap.
And it's all going to be down to how Pollicci takes the twisties at the back half of the circuit. His teammate Donnie Moffat is going to try and take the spot back from Michael Coates as they're going to run into turn 1 side by side. And Moffat will be first to the apex, but the trade is going to continue between Moffat and Coates. Our leaders have spaced out, but 4th place is still very much on right now. Coates managing to consolidate, but let's see what happens here at turn 6. Will Polici get laid on the brakes? He's turning in a lot earlier than Brandon Hawken. But Hawken will get the run on the exit. Now Jared Collins sees a chance to move into second as it's still side by side between Moffat and Coates.
Well, around that outside at turn 6 has worked sometimes, but far enough ahead, Donnie Moffat slams that door shut. Mark Cheng pits 1 lap short on the fuel for him. Drops him out of the contention for that podium in the open class that Travis Hewitt has locked down, but Mark Kruger and Peter Resorkis are still scrapping for Odyssey Adams and Mike Oswalt together, and there are so many battles for this final lap on the GT circuit of the Bend.
Hawkins had a quite good second sector and manages to get out to about half a second ahead of Polici and Collins. This is the part of the circuit where I think Hawken is probably has the most potential for pace. He's just got to keep it on the straight and narrow, nail those turn-in points and apexes. Quite a difficult thing to do up this back section. Now things get a little bit simpler. As, that was a bit deep there for Jared Collins. I wonder if Polici was a bit slower at the apex there. It's looking more and more of an impossibility for Polici to make this gap up for the lead now.
Needs a mistake from Brandon Hawken. The clock's about to run out. The white flag is already waved and the checkered flag comes next. Donnie Moffat holding on to 4th ahead of Michael Coates. Odyssey Adams ahead of Mike Oswalt for the moment. Travis Hewitt actually catching Tom Athon, and if he passes him, that could be more valuable points in his battle with Jack Stadola. When Stadola's on, he's on, but he's off today. So it could be time to make hay for Travis Hewitt. The sun is shining on the Bend. Kruger and Resorkis still together, but there's only a few corners left to see the checkered flag for Brandon Hawken.
Is there anything that Eugenio Polici can do in the final sector? This is a very difficult sequence of turns to get right. Hawken is throwing the car into the corners here. Keeps the slide going, nails the apex, and he is well clear coming into the last couple of corners. The last real overtaking opportunity on the track right here at turn 34. And it looks like there's nothing for Polici to do. Hawken just needs to make his way through the last turn now.
Rally cross from Jared Collins, wide out of 34. Turn 35, the final of 35 corners. And Brandon Hawken kicks up the dust there. They all do. Heading towards the checkered flag. Brandon Hawken wins from Eugenio Polici and Jared Collins. Moffat and Coates are side by side still.
Oh, it's a drag race to the line. Oh, almost getting squeezed into the pit wall there. It looks like Coates was just ahead.
What a race for them. Odyssey Adams and Mike Oswalt are over the checkered flag. Travis Hewitt leading that open class. Is there still another spot that he can get versus Tom Athon? Probably not close enough.
Yeah, it looks like Athon's pretty clear at the moment. Not too far ahead to Mitchell Peak either, who's had a bit of a tough race. And that's going to decide things there for Travis Hewitt. He will take the open class win. Still on for second, potentially, between Kruger and Resorkis. It's a nice exit for Peter, but the run to the line is just too short. And Kruger and Resorkis cross the timing line. In that order, your podium for open class decided. Still on further back, Coimbra and Martin, and then Stalker and Hayes fighting over the last positions in and outside of the top 20. I gotta say, I feel for Sean Hayes at this point. He was running very well in the midfield and could have been a solid contender for a top 10 were it not for the issues that he suffered. He'll have to settle for 21st in the end.
Yeah, he didn't take an extra pit stop. I think he presumably must have just unplugged and replugged something. So it's not particularly great chasing. Don't get another start from pit lane. is Mark Cheng after 2 stops. And I say this all the time for the endurance layout of Spa-Francorchamps. I think it's going to hold true here at the bend. There's no such thing as a splash and dash when the pit lane is this long and slow. There's a crawl and splash and crawl.
Yep, long tracks like this, you have to nail your strategy. Ray Lombardi in the InSim text chat saying, I'm glad I stayed awake until 5 a.m. for a 45-minute time trial. Must have been a bit of a sleepy race for Lombardi, but far from it elsewhere in the field, David.
Absolutely. Brandon Hawken qualified 3rd and only just snuck that time in at the end of the session as well, and then comes forward to win, defeating Eugenio Pollicci and Jared Collins in a very tight fight for those podium places. Michael Coates and Donnie Moffat side by side through the final corner, but the drag race is won by Michael Coates by 0.05 of a second versus Donnie Moffat. Odyssey Adams just ahead of Mike Oswalt as well there. Ray Lombardi completing his time trial in 8th. Rui Coimbra in 9th and Mitchell Peak in 10th. Tom Athon finished 11th, and your open class winner Travis Hewitt in 12th, ahead of Mark Kruger and Peter Rasorkis. Gerard Brady there, Kyle Genski and Brian Jabelski. So actually, in the end, 4 tyres not a bad strategy for Travis Hewitt. It's brought him towards some success. Paulo Coimbra in 18th place from Lee Martin in 19th. Jason Stalker to the start from pit lane and a drive through 20th. Sean Hayes, what looked like pedals disconnecting maybe, in 21st. Mark Cheng, 2 pit stops, 22nd. Jack Stadola, a penalty exiting pit lane. He retired the car, 23rd. And Paul Murgatroyd out of this race early after 2 laps, 24th. David Starb didn't take the race start.
Well, in the end, the Bend GT layout brought another fantastic race in Spec-5 World Tour. We do have our pro and open class winners in the interview waiting booths. So I would presume, David, you have got Brandon Hawken.
Reckon I do. The championship leader extends the lead, but how close were you to not getting a lap time in qualifying there, and how much would that have set you back?
Yeah, I think I had about a second to spare there after I crossed the line. That was I did not want to do that at all. I messed up my first lap. So I was like, you know what? I think the tires are better on the first flying lap. So I'll just come in and then go back out. And then I ended up getting an off track on that lap. So I just kept going. And I was hoping I had enough time there at the end. And yeah, it was like I crossed the line. I was like, oh man, we got like 3 minutes, like 28 seconds or something left, and the lap's like 3:26 or 3:27, and yeah, so that was once I crossed the line, I was like, okay, as long as I don't like mess up really bad, I should be able to put a time in here. But that was too close for sure. Definitely would not have been able to catch up to Eugenio there. That would have been really bad. But glad to have a really good race there. It was a really interesting track. That entire middle section, we didn't run that last season, and so it was fun trying to learn our way around there. And there's like about I don't know, like maybe like 6 or 7 corners, or 6 to 8 corners, something like that all look the same on entry, and then from the middle to exit they're completely different. So yeah, it was fun. I got lost there a couple times, but that was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. What a unique track it is, having come from Monza combined, which is a similar lap length but with about a third as many turns.
Yeah, I looked at the track map and it was like 35 corners. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a doozy. But it was once I got kind of familiar with it, I think the more I drive it, the more I like it. It's a really fun track. Got lots of banking, elevation changes, blind corners. Has pretty much everything. So it was for the first bit there is just trying to bide my time not to make any mistakes mistakes or anything, and I started getting a little bit more comfortable there towards the end. And I just had Eugenio lead the way there for most of it because he seemed pretty comfortable with it. And 2 to go. I was pretty close on gas, and I was like, you know what? If I run out, I run out. I'll go for the move here. And I had a really good race with him and Jared, Donnie, Michael, I think as well. And really good race. So that was a very interesting track, but glad we got to race it.
Week off next week. So what's an off Thursday night going to look like for Brandon Hawke? And I'm imagining a bubble bath, white wine, little slices of cucumber over your eyelids.
Oh yeah, well, definitely be eating some Sucker Punch pickles, that's for sure. And they're just I don't know, might do some laps for some stuff I got going on the weekend, but other than that, not too much. Just have maybe a spaghetti dinner as well. It's kind of a favorite of mine, and not really into alcohol, unfortunately. But I'll have some milk. That's for sure. I'll definitely be having milk.
Just don't ask Eugenio what you can and can't put on pasta, because he's very, very restrictive in what's allowed.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah, I won't. I'll make sure to leave him up to the all the fancy stuff. But it's really great racing with him, and I'll make sure to get some tips. Maybe spice up my spaghetti a bit.
We'll catch you around, Brandon. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
And Travis Hewitt, the open class winners here, Reese.
Yes, that he is. Travis Hewitt joins us now. And, Travis, that was quite the interesting one in the midfield. Up 4 positions from where you started. I think consistency was key here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is my first time at this track, so I just try to take it a little easy at the beginning, and my goal was to try to make it to the end. So you're definitely right. The consistency was a key factor going into this race, especially with so many turns, like 35 turns or something. There's a lot of places to make mistakes. So I try to minimize those and just keep trucking along.
It would have been difficult in testing to determine which tires were the best to take, lefts or rights, with so many of those corners.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, 35 laps or 35 turns. I knew that the tires were going to get destroyed, and especially how I drive, I'm not too easy on those tires sometimes. So there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to gamble and take those 4 tires. And it definitely took a couple laps to get those back up to temp. But when they finally came on, I felt comfortable and able to just cruise on to the end there.
Well, a solid result for you, and maximum points possible from where you were. And that will be a good haul to carry forward into the next round of the championship. We're going to Hungaroring next. I think that there's going to be quite a few similar vibes to the back section of this circuit, but fortunately a much shorter lap.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that track. Luckily, we have a week off, so I'll be doing some practice laps next Thursday and not eating spaghetti like Mr. Brandon. So I need to get up to speed there, and looking forward to it for sure. Looking forward to it.
As are we, Mr. Travis Hewitt. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you in a fortnight, I'm sure.
All right, appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
Travis Hewitt there from the open class. An excellent result for him. And that's going to bring things to a conclusion, David. As Travis mentioned, we do have a week off here. Next time we're going to be racing is the 23rd at the Hungaroring. Actually, is there a week off?
Yes.
Yes, there is. Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, that's going to be fun, going back over to Europe to another Formula One circuit, but one that I think suits the MX-5 very nicely.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope those 2 Honda Accords parked in the disabled spots out the front of the Ridges Hotel there have their permits on display. We're heading to the Hungaroring in 2 weeks' time, a week off for the Spec-5 World Tour. And maybe just as well, what a two exciting race run we've had with Monza combined and now the Bend GT. Brandon Hawken extends his championship lead with a win. Jack Stadola's charge towards the top of open class is muted here at the Bend as Travis Hewitt takes the win in open class. We'll see you next for Spec-5 World Tour on HJBC in 2 weeks' time. I've been David Haynes with Reese Gardner and Michael Derby. Until then, take care.